If I can have your attention here in the media center, we are now joined by Danica Patrick, driver of the number 7 GoDaddy Chevrolet, making her final run here in the Daytona 500, the Great American Race. And Danica, as a former pole winner for this race, and having some highs and
Being
experience
a
of
former
that
pole winner
here.
and watching myself not out there in clash practice, you mean?
Are you relaxed going here into your final run?
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, I think that if there's anything that I hope to feel when I get in the car in a couple hours is familiar, right? I mean, it should all be familiar, but it's a new team. It's, new stuff to sit in, so it should all be really, really, really close. But hopefully it just kind of feels familiar and I slip right into it. In fact, this is not a different start than I had last year. This is the identical same start to the season I had last year. I never got in the car between the last race in Homestead and the first practice in Daytona here. So the only thing that would have been different is I'd have been out in clash practice. But other than that, it's all the same.
Okay. We'll open the floor for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. We'll start with Jordan and then go to Bob.
Jordan Bianchi, SB Nation, you kind of touched on it. You are eligible for this race. Do you wish you were out there to kind of get acclimated with your new team?
Yes. It all came together too late. And in fact, thinking about what we should have done came together too late. A couple of days ago, I was thinking to myself that we should have run the backup car in the clash. And that way, we don't want to crash the primary anyway. So we're going to be careful in the duels. And then you don't have to worry about practicing too hard because you'll have already had clash race. So I was like, man, where was I on that one? And then, all goes well. I mean, last year I finished well in the clash, so, you could still have a backup. So it would have just been a good gamble to use the backup for, but didn't think of it soon enough and was honestly just really concerned about, the work getting done to put the primary car out there. So for the 500, so just came together too late and thought of it too late. But it would have been good practice. It always is. It's good for these guys too. It's good for everybody. It's not like just because I'm in a new situation, it's good. It's just nice refresher.
Bob.
Bob Hocker, ESPN. Tony Uri Jr. said that back in the day in the hauler, he'd have a sign pointing to the lounge that said Key West.
Oh, yeah. We were Key West. We were Team Key West. Pops was the serious side. We were the fun side.
So do you feel like you're in Key West?
Totally. Yeah, it's beautiful out there. And Tony's always funny. I mean, there's probably not anybody in this room that hasn't gotten a feel for what Tony Uri Jr. is like, and that's a really good-spirited, happy guy that knows what he's doing. So that, to be honest, is and will be the most critical element to come together for this program, was having him.
Go next to Mike and then to Caleb.
Mike Hember, USA Today. How do you see your experience in particularly in NASCAR contributing to the fact that somewhere down the road, maybe sooner now, we're going to see women winning races, competing in the top 5 with regularity? Have you kind of set a foundation for that?
I don't know. When was the first woman in NASCAR? 50s? So it's been 68 years. So I don't know. It depends on if they're interested in racing and if they want to come through. I think that, if there's one difference that I feel is that, you have to get a team behind you, but to believe in you, and maybe it's a little harder because women have not proved themselves as much as men, but every driver has to prove themselves to their team. So there's still that responsibility, and that challenge is still at hand for every single driver to find a group that believes in them and gives them what they need and puts them in the right scenario. So, perhaps it's a little bit harder for me just based on history, but I've had great opportunities as a driver. Sometimes I think it's been better than others, but that could probably be said for every single driver out there.
Go next to Caleb, then to Dinah.
Caleb Whistler, Kicking the Tires.net. Players Tribune released your little expose yesterday. What was that time of reflection like for you in writing that piece?
It was funny. It was a conversation that was like, it was kind of fluid, and it really, it was, you know, gave some perspective to the good that I will miss as well as the things I won't miss. Like, are you excited to be back at Daytona? Don't ask that question. If I can give any recommendation of all the questions that you guys ask this next 10 days, don't ask that one. Because there's no real good answer. Yes and no, maybe, we'll see. It's just it's too simple of a question and not deep enough. So that would be my only recommendation. Based on the Players Tribune piece. But it was nice. Honestly, it's just a really we'll roll out some stories through the Tribune with me that'll be, kind of those more intimate, interesting stories from before and after Daytona and before and after Indy. So be on the lookout for, another story after it's over with. And then, oh my God, that car doesn't look like it's going straight. Cars look interesting on TV, don't they? Sometimes. So it's just part of explaining to people and giving more information on, how I feel.
Go next to Dinah and then to Jenna.
Hi, Danica. Dinah Pulver with the Daytona Beach News Journal. Last night, Natalie Decker talked a bit about you and about how, when she was in here because she won the pole for the ARCA race. Mm-hmm. And I wondered what you think the biggest challenge is for young women who are trying to move up into some of NASCAR's top tier series. And I answered
that question. I just answered it.
So you think that just getting a team that believes in them is the thing, just to find somebody?
It includes the owner, the crew, everybody.
Do you feel like that women have extra pressure because there are people who expect them to carry the banner for their gender?
Only if they feel like they do. I really believe that. I've never felt like that, so I don't. My own banner is bigger than any other banner for what I want to accomplish for myself, and then the trickle-down effect is what it is. But no one expects more than me.
Go to Jenna, then to Nate.
Danica, you're kind of keeping an eye on this practice. Do you anticipate watching racing when you're not a racer anymore?
I don't really watch a lot of racing when I'm still racing. So, obviously I was in 38 of them, or 37, or sometimes 36. But I'm sure I'll watch some of it when it's somewhat convenient or when it's a big one. I imagine myself to be just like kind of an average fan. Like that watches when it's on, and if I'm busy traveling or in an airplane or going somewhere or doing an appearance or whatever it is, then I can't watch it. And I'm sure I'll be interested every single weekend as to how it went and the results, for sure. And then when the big ones come along, I'll want to make time for it. So I imagine myself to be like a regular fan, to be honest.
Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Just to clarify the Clash part of this. So you were eligible for the race. You knew that. Was it a part of the sponsorship package that you guys were offering to rent? No.
It wasn't necessarily. It was really just to do Daytona and Indy. And Clash wasn't a priority. It was just a matter of getting everything else going. So I'm sure that if everything would have come together quicker, as I said many times to people over the last few months, I'm surprised it's taking so long. If it would have come together sooner, I'm sure that we would have been able to put something together for the Clash. But I'm sure it would have been extra. You know what I mean? It's not free. Turning a wheel, turning the engine on is never free. So we would have surely found a way to put something together, but it just didn't come together fast enough. And with the amount of time we had, it was really important that Tony and Tommy and everybody putting the deal together and getting the car time to, get the Hawkeye and all those things that, are important to making sure that everything passes. There was no time to really worry too much about anything other than the primary.
We'll come up front here to Holly.
Holly Kane, the NASCAR Wire Service. Danica, being here, obviously there's so much work that you have to do, but how much have you allowed your mind to kind of soak in the meaning of this week and that this will be your final NASCAR start?
I actually felt like Homestead was that. I know it wasn't the last one, but just with the announcement, there was so much loaded emotion in that weekend that that to me that had a lot of a feel for kind of the end on some level of racing in the Cup Series. So yeah, I'm sure that I say I'll be fine, and I'm excited, and imagine. Okay, everybody in the room, imagine when you leave here on Sunday, you don't have anything to do really for a couple of months. Seems pretty exciting, doesn't it? Right? That's how I feel. But when I think next Sunday comes, I'm sure I'll be a lot more retrospective, introspective, and emotional about the finality of it, and just have a little bit more perspective. But right now, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm excited about it all. And, I made the decision last year that this was what I was good with. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been doing it. So, I've had a lot of time to mentally transition. And that transition started last year. So I'm good. I'm ready. But we just have to keep my dad away from me, to be honest. He's always the emotional one that's going to be like all choked up and tearing and sunglasses, and he's going to be crunching on his water bottle, and he's just going to be like, just have fun out there. And I'm going to be like, God, keep it together because I have to. So I'm sure my whole family will, but I know my dad will.
Wrap up here with Bob.
Bob Hocker, ESPN, moved over here.
Thank you. Because I can't get any perspective.
That being said, is there anything specific that you want to do on race day or after the race, because it is your final race? And now I guess I got to ask, what are your plans for Monday after the Daytona 500?
Plans? Well, I just hope that I really hope that I finish, and I'm hopefully in contention. That's really my hope for the Daytona 500. There's no such thing as a runaway here, so you just hope that you're in contention. The only way that things could get split up is if somehow the end of the race turns into a long stint, and there's a pit stop and there's a broken up group. That's all that you can think as that would make it smaller. But you hope you're in contention and that you're there. What's my plans for Monday? Yeah. Hydrate from Sunday.
Well, Danica, if you win, I'm sure there'll be a few things on your plate on that Monday.
Extra hydration.
So you'll need some extra hydration. But thanks for joining us today. Good luck tomorrow in qualifying and next week in the Daytona 500.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway, and we have a little preview for today's Lucas Oil 200, driven by General Tire. With us today, we have our pole sitter and also a Rookie of the Year contender, Natalie Decker. We have last year's Scott Rookie Challenge winner, Riley Herbst, driving for Joe Gibbs Racing in the NOS Energy Toyota. We have Andrew Lukanich, who's the Managing Director for Partnerships and Sales at International Speedway Corporation. We have Travis Braden, who is a driver in our ARCA Racing Series. He's a two-time ARCA CRA champion. He won his first ARCA race out of the box at Lucas Oil Raceway back in 2015, committed to the full series this year as a rookie challenger. Yesterday, ARCA announced through ARCA officials that Menards has come back for a 9th consecutive year to be the presenting sponsor of the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. With that announcement, Scott Products and Kimberly Clark are coming back for a 6th consecutive year. Scott Products will sponsor the Scott Rookie Challenge this year, in which 2 of the 3 drivers up here will be competing, and of course, Riley won. Riley, you picked up the $10,000 check last year. You made a good run up all the way to the end of the season. The last race, you won the championship. Tell us about how important that was to you in your career.
It was awesome to get the Rookie of the Year award. That was one of our goals. The other was to win the championship. we came up a little short of that, but that's our expectation for this year. But Scott Brand Products was very supportive, and we could not have got the big check without them. And I have the big foam check hanging up in my room, which is pretty cool.
Natalie, you won the poll yesterday, which is a good start towards the Scott Rookie Challenge. Tell us, when you committed to the 2018 season, you knew this was a part of it. You and your crew chief talked about getting that rookie title.
Yeah, we only ran 7 races last year, so we could run for the Rookie of the Year this year, and I still can't believe that I got the pole. And my crew chief, Dave Liner, he's amazing, and we set goals for ourselves every race, and he told me that was his goal, was to get the pole, and we did it, and I'm so thankful.
Travis, you worked very hard last year, had a couple of races with RFMS, their team, and Matrix Care, driving that forward, and you were able to convince Don Fike to put you in full-time this year. 2-time ARCA CRA Series champion, Supercar Series champion. Looking at your race results in 10 races, you've got 5 top 5s, 7 top 10s, a lot of consistency. You think that'll help you this year to go after that rookie challenge?
I mean, for sure it'll help me. Everybody keeps calling me a rookie this week, and I feel like the veteran. You know, I'm almost 24 years old now, and I think some of the veterans of this circuit are younger than I am. So, but having 10 starts, you know, we got 1 win in my first start, and I've worked with a number of great people throughout those couple of years now. So, some good momentum, and I've got a little bit of experience going into this year. So I think that will pay off.
Andrew, we appreciate you being here on behalf of International Speedway Corporation, and you have an exciting announcement to make for one of the upcoming ARCA races.
I do. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, we're excited to welcome Kimberly-Clark Professional and Scott Products back to Chicagoland Speedway to be the title partner of the Scott 150 again this year. So looking forward to June 28th and hope to see you guys all back out on the track out there.
Good. We're going to look forward to coming to that event for sure. I believe, Travis, you ran Chicagoland, did you not, this last year?
Well, yeah, actually twice now. You're right. The past 2 seasons.
Yeah, give us your perspective of that track.
Chicago's, to me, that's probably my favorite mile-and-a-half that's on the circuit, just because of the age and the surface, and you know, it still has quite a bit of character. There's a lot of bumps, and it's a cool show. I know the show is different this year, but last year, the past couple of years, with being there with NASCAR at the Chase kickoff race was unique, and I know this year's race is going to be unique as well. Yeah.
Riley, Chicago was one of the places you had to run where you gained momentum in the Rookie Challenge and got those points to where when you finally got to the last race at Kansas, you were able to pull off that championship. Tell us about your feelings running in Chicago.
It's rough. I feel like that's the roughest track that the ARCA Racing Series goes to, besides the short tracks of Salem and not Winchester this year. But we're really looking forward to get back to Chicago. I really want to, this kind of sounds weird, but eat a hot dog in Victory Lane, see what that tastes like, and hold up the Scott 150 trophy.
Natalie, you haven't been there yet, but you've run some of the other tracks. You ran Kentucky and you ran Kansas. Kansas is similar. Tell us about your thoughts going to Chicago.
That's one thing I kind of got to work on is mile-and-a-halves, and there's a lot of them. So that's going to be a big thing I'm going to work on, is getting better at mile-and-a-halves.
Okay. Turning to today's race, you're on the pole. What do you think it's going to take today to pull off a victory?
To listen to my spotter and my crew chief, do what they tell me to do, and just probably stay on that yellow line.
Riley?
The old 1-8 is going to charge forward pretty hard. We start in 8th, and we got the best spotter on the stand with Chris Lambert, Denny's spotter, and we got awesome crew chief, Booty Barker on the box, and so I think we're going to make a pretty good push forward today.
Travis, what do you think it's going to take today?
Well, number one, I think we obviously have to finish the race, so that's our number one goal. We struggle for some single car speed with our cars, so we know we have to kind of work in that pack all day, but number one, we have to finish to win the race.
Yeah, kind of hard to believe at 24 you're the veteran of this group. You know, I have a hard time saying that at times, but good. Well, good luck to all of you. Questions from the media for our drivers? Got a macro.
Roddy Maglite Racing Radio Show. Roddy Maglite Racing Radio Show. If you could pull off the win today, being the first woman to pull off a major win, how much would that mean to you?
I wouldn't even be able to explain it. That would be, I mean, getting the pole was amazing, and celebrating that with the Ventrinis and Toyota and everything in my family, and how proud everyone was. I couldn't even explain what that would feel like to win the race.
Over here.
A couple of questions for Natalie. First, Dan Gillespie, the Associated Press. We saw you hug Danica just now. Do you have any kind of relationship with her? And has she ever talked to you about racing or offered any kind of advice? And if not, even if she did you ever look at her as a female role model to get into racing?
Yeah, she's smart. She gives me a lot of advice. It's really funny. My aunt raced snowmobiles, and my dad did too. And Danica's dad raced back in the day, and Danica's mom was on my aunt's pit crew. So my aunt kind of set them up on a blind date, and Danica's middle name is Sue, after my aunt. So it's because of my auntie Sue that Danica's here, probably.
And I think you took over Daytona's Snapchat page today. Is that right, or what? Some page like that. And you obviously have a lot of followers on Instagram. How important has social media been in building your following and awareness of what you kind of person you are on or off the track?
Social media is a wonderful thing. It can be awesome and it can be not so awesome, but it's more awesome than not. And I love it. It's so much fun to do and show what I do outside of racing and when I'm at the track. And yeah, I took over Snapchat today, and there's already probably like 30 snaps on there of just random things, but it's fun, and follow along. It's great.
Bob Pockris.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. And Natalie, there's 2 women in the ARCA race. There's 1 woman who's in the NASCAR Next class this year. Do you feel like that there's an opportunity for you if you do well, because there are so few women who seem to be kind of in the area where you're racing? And do you have any idea why there's so few?
What you can only see so far in the higher levels of racing, there are a few, but there's so many younger girls that are fast, and they're like 10 years old, 12 years old, and they're racing everything and anything, dirt cars, go-karts, full-size cars already, and they're coming up. So they're going to be here faster than we know it, and Leilani's my teammate. She's here right now, and I'm so excited to have a girl teammate. That's going to be awesome, and having Danica here racing her last race, it's going to be a great weekend. Yeah, they're waiting. Now that Danica won't be here, they're definitely waiting for a girl driver, and there's a bunch of them coming.
We have one down on the end here, Daytona News Journal.
I'm Dinah Pulver with the Daytona Beach News Journal. Sticking with that same theme, what is the challenge that you see, Natalie, to getting a woman into some of these higher series? And for the guys up there, do you see differences between the men and the women on the track? Do you think it's a challenge for anyone to try to break into these bigger series, or do the women face a different challenge?
No matter who you are, it's a challenge for any race car driver. You need to have it all. You need to be personable. You need to have the sponsor and be with a good team and have it all to win races and keep moving up. And it doesn't matter if you're a girl or boy.
I mean, I think the challenge is even for everybody. Everybody's top goal is to be a Monster Energy NASCAR Cup champion. And I feel like everybody has the same obstacles that they have to face. They all have to find funding. They all have to find a ride. And then on top of that, everybody's got to go out and perform on the racetrack. So I think everybody's at a square level one, and it's just let the best person win, basically.
I personally don't think that most of us, males really treat the female drivers differently. I know I don't. And I have raced against quite a few through the late model circuits and just through the years. So I think in the past, maybe 10 years ago, it was new, and they may have looked at it differently. But on the track, I don't. And I think that I think the female drivers have a different mindset sometimes that actually may work to their advantage. Men and women are typically different in how they think of things. So it seems like they have a different strategy at times, and I've seen it work both ways, but I think it does benefit them at times.
Any other questions for our guests? Natalie, I'm going to have you stick around for a second. Riley, Andrew, Travis, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming here and being here today. Riley, you're starting 8th. Good luck today.
Thank you.
And Travis, you're starting 11th. Good
sir.
luck.
Thank you.
Lalani Munter, I want to invite you up. You've got an announcement that involves Chicagoland Speedway, amongst others.
Good luck to you, too. Let's sit in the middle.
Yeah, so I'm going to be racing the Chicago race, and I'm also going to be racing Talladega, Charlotte, both the Pocono races, and Kansas. So I'll have a total of 8 races with Natalie as my teammate, which is super awesome. We're going to continue the woman power thing into the rest of the season. And so I'm thrilled. I've always been, sort of putting together one race deals with my sponsorship in ARCA. So for as long as I can remember in this series, I've been racing and thinking every single time that I was in a car that it could be the last time that I was ever going to race, which is sort of a scary thought to always have hanging over your head. And so it hasn't even really hit me yet that like when this race is over, I don't have to go out and try and find sponsorship to get back in a car. So I'm super excited, and I'm thrilled to have Natalie as my teammate. I've also got a female tire changer today, changing my front tires. And my jack man is actually a jack woman. So there is a lot of woman power going on around the garage today.
You qualified 5th. You were at the top of the board at one point, as was Travis. I mean, with the group qualifying, a lot of things changed around. What's your response to the group qualifying? Do you two like it, not like it?
I do miss the old days. I mean, I've been around for a while. So I was around when we had single car qualifying runs, which I liked. It's just so much more of you don't know what's going to happen. So for me, yesterday, a couple of the guys that were in the back, I was leading, they dropped off. I think maybe they were going to try and get a run, and then they couldn't get a run, and they ended up losing the draft, and I think that then hurt the whole group. So, I mean, you're literally pulling a number out of a hat, and we put so much effort into preparing these race cars and finding the sponsorship to get here. It's sort of hard to have your starting position determined by, what number gets pulled out of a hat and how well the rest of your team does. So I really miss, the old single car qualifying days. And I also, there's just something about that sound of one race car being on the track that I love that doesn't have the same ring to it when there's 6 of us. It's this really beautiful, pure sound of just one engine echoing off the walls. And it was my favorite sound at the racetrack, and I never get to hear it anymore. So I miss those days.
Tell us a little bit about your sponsor that's going to be sponsoring you for your races, the sponsorship you put together for the 6 races.
Yeah, so I'm running the veganstrong.com number 20, and we are going to be giving away free Impossible burgers today out front. We're going to be here tomorrow as well as all the way through the Daytona 500. It's a 100% plant-based burger for meat lovers. It's really, really going to blow people's minds, I think. And we're just going to be encouraging people to, try a plant-based diet or try to eat less meat. The meat and dairy industry is incredibly rough on our environment, and currently 1/3 of the arable land on the planet is being used to grow grain that is fed to livestock. So we could feed many more millions of people on the planet if we would move towards plant-based, because that area of land that's being used to grow grain for the cows could be being given directly to people. It's also much less of a demand on water. It's healthier for you. I have felt great. I've been vegan for almost 7 years now. Landon Castle is also vegan, and in sports cars, Andy Lawley and Spencer Pumpelly. So there's quite a few vegans around. I encourage you guys to try it. I think you will be surprised, even if you are a meat eater. I think you will have trouble telling the difference. And, obviously it's great for the animals too. So this car actually came about because I got a Vegan Athlete of the Year award about 1.5 years ago. And in my acceptance speech, I talked about how I had always dreamed of racing a vegan-themed race car. And about 2 weeks later, I got a phone call, and that's how I ended up here at Daytona last year. We had a a great run. I was running, up front towards the end of the race and ended up getting taken out on the backstretch with like 15 laps to go. So that was pretty painful. But they decided to come back for this year, and hopefully it's a train that will keep rolling into 2019.
You two, have you talked about strategy today, teaming up? Team drafting is big here at Daytona, and you're both on the same team. Tell us about what you're looking at today.
Yeah, we have. I mean, we've only got one car in between. I'm starting on the third row on the inside, and Natalie's on the first row on the inside. So I'm going to be starting behind her. We're just going to have a clean race. I'm going to hook up behind her. I'm going to push her, and we're going to stay in the front. And all of the messes are going to happen behind us. So, yeah, we're just going to keep our nose clean. We're going to stay on the yellow line. Billy, our team owner, is constantly saying, yellow line, yellow line. Yeah. That's all I was saying to myself in the car last year, yellow line, yellow line. And so it's just hitting your marks, stay in it. I'll be behind you to push you. And hopefully it'll be 1-2, you and me at the finish.
Yeah. Well, good luck to the two of you. Questions?
I would cry too.
Mr. Weir.
Matt Weaver, Audit Week, for Leilani. Working with Frank Kimmel, 10-time ARCA champion, just the sort of experience and perspective that he brings. What have you learned from him?
I've learned so much from him. He is, I feel so honored. Like, seeing him push my car, I run over there and help because I feel bad that a 10-time ARCA champion is working on my car. He's so amazing, and he's been really wonderful about kind of sitting me down and talking to me and saying, look, this is the things we need to work on. This is what you have to concentrate on. And him being a 10-time ARCA champion, obviously, I try and shut up and just listen. And it worked well for us yesterday in qualifying. I'm sure it's different for him to switch hats from being a driver to being my crew chief. But he's been doing an amazing job so far. We had the test together, and obviously with the new composite bodies, there was a lot for us as a team to sort of figure out. But we came back and we were quick, and the car feels really good. So I feel like the car's been getting better every single time I've gone out. So I'm really excited for today. I think Venturini's going to have a really good day today.
Back here, News Journal.
Leilani, we'll go ahead and ask you the same question we've been asking other women up here. What are the challenges for women trying to race into NASCAR's top series? And is it more challenging for women to get sponsors than men?
I think it has been. I mean, let's face it, racing has been a man's sport for many, many years, and there's been very few women that have ever made it to the top level, and of those, very few of those have actually had an opportunity to run full-time. To get a win, you need to be out there on a regular basis. So for me, the biggest challenge has always been finding sponsorship. But I think I think Danica being out there, it definitely has planted the seeds in a lot of little girls across the country that are now thinking about becoming the next female NASCAR driver. So I think, like Natalie said earlier, there's going to be a lot more women coming into the sport. I was talking earlier with a reporter from USA Today, and he said, why do you think drag racing has been so, so much further along, I guess, as far as having, female winners? And the only thing I could come up with is, Shirley Muldowney shattered that glass ceiling so many years ago. And so when she did that, she planted a seed, and there were many more women sort of dreaming of becoming drag racers. And it really is not a question of if a female driver is going to win in ARCA and in the top levels of NASCAR. It's a question of when. And I hope that it's one of us two sitting up here. We both have a really good shot today. And we both will have more shots the rest of this year. So that in and of itself is a huge step, right? Last year when I was here racing Daytona, I was the only woman in the ARCA race, and now there's two of us. Maybe next year there'll be 3 or 4. It's happening. The world is changing. I feel like there's a lot of woman power going around the world right now, and that's extending into the racing garage as well.
Any more questions? Natalie, Leilani, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good luck today to both of you.
Appreciate it.
There's a little preview for today's Lucas Oil 200 driven by General Tire. Thank you all. too. Good luck. Yeah.